ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਡਗ ਫੋਰਡ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਖਾਸ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ, ਕੁਝ ਸਵਾਲ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਰੱਖੇ। ਪਹਿਲਾ ਸਵਾਲ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਨਾਰਦਰਨ ਕਾਲਜ ਨੇ ਸਟੂਡੈਂਟਸ ਨੂੰ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਕੀਤੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਆਫਰਸ ਲੈਟਰ, ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਅਦ 500 ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਫਰ ਲੈਟਰ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਵਿਡਰਾ ਕਰ ਲਏ ਗਏ। ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇੰਡੀਆ 'ਚ ਸਟੂਡੈਂਟਸ ਬੈਠੇ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਸਫਰ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ, ਇਹਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਫੋਰਡ ਨੂੰ ਸਵਾਲ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਗਿਆ। ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਅਦ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਲੈਂਡਲॉर्ड टेनेंट बोर्ड ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਫੈਕਟਿਵ नहीं है, और जिथे असी इन्नी स्टोरीज देखी है कि लैंडलॉर्ड्स की सफरिंग, क्यों नहीं प्रोविंस एक डाटाबेस बनाता बैड लैंडलॉर्ड्स और बैड टेनेंट्स का। असी देखते हैं इत्थे सारी रिपोर्ट। दिस इज नितिन चोपड़ा फ्रॉम प्राइम एशिया टीवी। इंटरनेशनल स्टूडेंट्स are also a big force here in Canada, in Ontario, and you are working because they also need housing and you are working on that. Now recently Northern College has withdrawn offer letters to more than 500 students, mostly across the globe and India also, due to overbooking, resulting in monetary loss and mental pain to so many families. Last year, even Auditor General, they pointed out your government for inadequate supervision of public and private colleges, lack of audits, and so many shortcomings. Will you and Ministry of Colleges and Universities make some strong decisions to ensure the quality of education is not compromised? Thank you.
We have a very close working relationship, and thank you for the question, with my ministry and the Ministry of College and Universities. Minister Dunlop and I have had many conversations, and as you can see, Minister Dunlop visits many of our colleges and universities and talks about the need for housing opportunities. We're going to continue to work closely with her. We've got a number of challenges. The other challenge in the housing sector is labor. We need to graduate more skilled trades in our college and university system. We need more planners, more plan reviewers. We need a whole continuum of workers to help support our plan to build at least 1.5 million homes. But I can assure you that the issues that you bring forward are top of mind for Minister Dunlop.
Yeah, I just want to add on to the minister's comments. One that stands out is the University of Guelph. You know, the city of Guelph refused to put a housing permit or approve a housing permit right on the university's grounds for the students. That's unacceptable. So we need to build more housing for our students.
Premier, recently you announced that 40 new adjudicators for the Landlord Tenant Board, but seems it's not working. Reason is there are so many cases of a landlord suffering in the hands of professional tenants. They feel that LTB is still not effective and landlords have very few rights. If any tenant don't pay rent for consecutive 2 months, why can't they be evicted right away? Because right now it takes 8 months to open the file, and some of the landlords, they met you also in the previous event, and they need a strong action from the Ontario government, and they can expect it from Premier Ford. If he can do so, it will be good for them. Thank you.
Yeah, before I hand it to the minister, I'll just address this. I hear from hundreds and hundreds of people, and we aren't talking about big corporations. We're talking about individuals that might buy a condo, might buy a home, and they rent it out. And then there's, people that are out there and they just won't pay the rent. And they go from place to place to place. That's just not right. We're going to continue fixing that issue. Because what happens if they don't pay their rent, people can lose their house. They can't pay their mortgage. And it's just not fair to these small landlords that are just trying to get by. But I'll pass it over to the minister.
I assure you that my ministry, but the Landlord Tenant Board under our fantastic Attorney General, the Honourable Doug Downey, as part of our last housing bill, we made a historic investment. We're essentially doubling the amount of adjudicators that are before the Landlord Tenant Board. And then as well, a very important addition to that are additional staffing to be able to help process some of these applications. I think the best thing the government can do for both landlords and tenants is have a very efficient working tribunal that moves forward. By doubling the amount of adjudicators and investing that $6 million, which is a historic investment for our government to put forward to make that a better system, I think you're going to see the results that you're worried about.
ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਫੋਰਡ ਨੇ ਅੱਜ ਮਿਸੀਸਾਗਾ ਸਟਰੀਟ ਵਿਲਸ 'ਚ ਅਨਾਉਂਸਮੈਂਟ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ। ਮੇਰੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਜੋ ਆ ਬਿਲਡਿੰਗ ਹੈ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਚਰਚ ਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆ ਬਿਲਡਿੰਗ ਬਣ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਹੋਮਲੈਸ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਲਈ। ਸੋ ਹਾਊਸਿੰਗ ਨੂੰ ਟੈਕਲ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਫੋਰਡ ਬੜੇ ਫਾਸਟ ਟਰੈਕ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਆਹ ਸਟੈਪ ਇਹਦੀ ਇਨਵੈਸਟਮੈਂਟ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਗਈ ਹੈ। ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਅਦ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਫੋਰਡ ਨੇ ਕੁਝ ਸਵਾਲ ਵੀ ਲਿੱਤੇ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗ੍ਰੀਨ ਬੈਲਟ ਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਡੀਟਰ ਜਨਰਲ ਦੀ ਰਿਪੋਰਟ ਆਈ ਹੈ। ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਫੋਰਡ ਨੇ ਕੀ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਕੀ ਬਿਲਡਰਸ ਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੈਫਰੈਂਸ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਗਈ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ, ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਫਾਲ ਗਾਏ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਚੀਫ ਆਫ ਸਟਾਫ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਟੀਵ ਕਲਾਰਕ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਚੀਫ ਆਫ ਸਟਾਫ ਉਹ ਫਾਲ ਗਾਏ ਹੋਊਗਾ, ਸਾਰਾ ਬਲੇਮ ਉਹਦੇ ਤੇ ਆਊਗਾ। ਇੰਟੀਗ੍ਰਿਟੀ ਕਮਿਸ਼ਨਰ ਦੀ ਵੀ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ 15 ਰਿਕਮੈਂਡੇਸ਼ਨ ਆਡੀਟਰ ਜਨਰਲ ਨੇ ਦਿੱਤੀਆਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਚੋਂ 14 ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਰਿਕਮੈਂਡੇਸ਼ਨਸ ਆ ਉਹ ਉਹਦੇ ਤੇ ਐਕਸ਼ਨ ਆਲਰੇਡੀ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ। ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਫੋਰਡ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਇੱਕ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਰਿਕਮੈਂਡੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ ਗ੍ਰੀਨ ਬੈਲਟ ਤੇ ਡਿਵੈਲਪਮੈਂਟ ਦੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਤੇ ਕੰਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਰਿਕਮੈਂਡੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਆਡੀਟਰ ਜਨਰਲ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਇੰਟੀਗ੍ਰਿਟੀ ਕਮਿਸ਼ਨਰ ਕੋਲ ਹੈ। ਹੁਣ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਰਿਪੋਰਟ ਆ ਕੇ ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਅਦ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਫੋਰਡ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੀ ਐਕਸ਼ਨ ਜਾਂ ਕਾਰਵਾਈ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ। ਲੈਟਸ ਵੇਟ ਫॉर द ਇੰਟੀਗ੍ਰਿਟੀ ਕਮਿਸ਼ਨਰ ਰਿਪੋर्ट ऑन द 15th ਰਿਕਮੈਂਡੇਸ਼ਨ। ਜਿਸ ਟਾਈਮ ਇੰਟੀਗ੍ਰਿਟੀ ਕਮਿਸ਼ਨਰ ਦੀ ਰਿਪੋਰਟ ਆਏਗੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਅਦ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਫੋਰਡ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਐਕਸ਼ਨ ਲਵਾਂਗੇ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਬੰਦਾ ਹੋਇਆ।
Friends, Ontario is growing at an unprecedented rate. They're the fastest growing jurisdiction in all of North America, bar none. Last year alone, we added more than 500,000 people. And at these rates, Ontario will grow by more than 5 million people over the next decade. To put that into perspective, it's like putting two cities of Toronto, plopping them down right across Ontario. These are staggering numbers that didn't exist just a few months ago. That's why it's never been more important to deliver on our commitment to build at minimum 1.5 million homes. Failing to act would worsen the housing supply and affordability crisis. In particular, young families and newcomers in search of the Ontario dream will see home ownership slip further away as they are locked out of the housing market. And our most vulnerable will continue to face housing instability. Failing to act would hurt everyone in Ontario by driving up the cost of goods and services and by hampering new job creation and investments. Failing to act would threaten to erode our unwavering support for immigration at a time when our economic successes depend on welcoming skilled newcomers to fill critical labor jobs. As Canada and Ontario welcome more people, we need to build more homes of all types, including a mix of ownership, rental, nonprofit, and supportive housing. To do so, our government is the first in decades to have a real plan to build more homes. Our Housing Supply Action Plan has set ambitious targets for growing cities and municipalities like Mississauga. It has cut costly red tape while reducing municipal fees and taxes on purpose-built rentals, as well as affordable and attainable housing. Through our transit-oriented communities, we're planning for density right next to transit. We're unlocking lands to build 50,000 new homes that will be home to 150,000 people, and they'll be affordable. That's the same as adding a city the size of Welland or Belleville. And after decades of stagnation, we're starting to see results. Against challenging headwinds like higher inflation rates and labor shortages, we had the most housing starts in over 30 years in 2021 and 2022. This is positive momentum and a step in the right direction, but as our province grows at an incredible speed, we need to do more. That's why last fall we announced $4.5 million in capital funding to help build in Wells Streetsville, right here behind me. When complete, this new complex will include 40 supportive housing units. And today, we're pleased to announce that we're investing an additional $270,000 in operational funding to provide residents here with the rent supplements and mental health and addiction support services. This funding is part of the $425 million over 3 years that we announced in our spring budget for mental health and addiction services. We also added another $202 million to our homelessness prevention and Indigenous supportive housing programs, bringing our total funding to almost $700 million a year. Together, these investments will help some of our most vulnerable people, providing them with a place to call home and an opportunity for a better life. Friends, previous governments, they refused to build the housing we needed, and as a result, we're currently facing a housing crisis, decades in the making. We have two choices here. We can sit back and ignore Ontario's housing crisis like previous government, or we can build more homes. Homes of all types. Our government is choosing to build. Our government is choosing to get it done. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us today, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you. Well, first of all, I disagree with preferential treatment. No one had preferential treatment. What we're doing is trying to build the 50,000 homes for people that need it. And the number one issue out there is affordability, followed by the economy and jobs and healthcare. You know, I've seen a lot of numbers, and you've seen them, and polls flying around all over the place, and their number one issue is affordability. That's what we have to focus on, and we're going to continue doing that. We're going to continue building the 1.5 million homes for average people. Now, it's ironic that you mentioned what you mentioned, because the previous government, when they changed it 17 times, they changed it for their buddies to build mega mansions, which mega mansions aren't happening on this property. They built it to change to a golf course, a golf dome, and a Jiffy Lube. We aren't doing that. We're changing it to build homes for people that need it, the hardworking working class that can't afford a home. It's as simple as that.
I want to make it clear that that we are moving forward on the 14 recommendations. My chief and I continue to work with and collaborate with the Integrity Commissioner on the investigation. The government moved very quickly on that recommendation yesterday, and we'll continue to work with him, answer his questions, and assist him in the investigation. But at the same time, we've got 14 recommendations that we need to put the transparency back into the system, and we've already started, and we're going to continue to keep doing that.
First of all, we're going to follow the recommendations. One of the recommendations were to have the Integrity Commissioner look into it. I know he's in the process of been doing that for the last month, or probably more than a month, and we'll take his recommendations. So let's see where we go after the Integrity Commissioner's report comes out.